It's scary. Just go to sleep on it. Text me if I need to leave. I need to get them to down top and that's all I change.
And the things that you can see are with the quality prices of whatever you want. With the capability that and doing certain that's the let's see you're those celebrating and stay with the one person of anyone. Very marvelous. With 0% APR, that's only 13,000 total value on a Sierra. That's not get it all. So we put 60% still on. So 10%, they're just a couple of weeks over the side. It's time to get it up. On step range, why the same stuff as you would sound young. And we did some kind of share and said to go through the range from this reveal. So we had to figure out you already did a change. Some really for that you not receive when folks wrong. Inside it's one of the top 7 greens that my office so we switched. Plus, you have to talk about asking for the then you're surprised that after a day, I learned it, so I was like, probably told this on the well, this isn't what the idea was. And right there, like, she still thinks about it. So didn't want this match. Great talk to do that. Starts down. Yes, it is. But they honey bit president got me that was not that his grandfather. We're going to do a tour on this historical just a little bit. So much history, so much fun. The great stuff. The North branch from first and house down, South Gold House, or his speak out. This goes on the Taylor Sheridan spin-off. Different changes, you know, not having Taylor there. You know, everything had changed. We got to do both on it. I had to wear challenge. It's sort of people challenge. We're going to see it this year. I was Cowboy says he was reflecting our show with a band, you know, that ranch, didn't write a single episode. It was about getting it down. Everything, so what's the new writing stuff? We had to figure out on our feet how to perform and tell a story.
But back to 2022, when Cole suggested to ET, their rebuild revealer without Taylor Sheridan.
You would be willing to play red flag along.
As long as they're continues to run like that, I'll study this. I thought they were this laughing.
Those comments come as co-star Ed Harris vented about his role on the series.
Everyone feels forces now, because again, that it's a feeling and inconsequential. And they come
Oh, Bill is coming along for season 2, which starts shooting in February 2027.
I'm kind of what we accomplished, and I look forward to doing it again.
Man, co-star Kelly Riley revealing that next year, quote, I think Taylor is going to be involved as far as some story ideas, which is great. Of course, Taylor remains an EP, but why he's a key in the writer's room?
It's an incredible accomplishment to have that many shows and all of them be good. We're the best.
Yes, Taylor's TV empire just keeps growing. With his Paramount deal locked in through 2028, he's juggling Landman, Lioness, Tulsa King, Mayor of Kingstown, The Madison, and Marshalls. He's writing the Call of Duty movie, and just this morning, CBS announced Baker's EP on a new reality show. It's about an elite horse racing competition called The Run for a Million. It airs Saturday, August 22nd on CBS and streams on Paramount Plus.
Well, okay, guys.
All right, let's switch gears now quickly. This is big sequel.
Yes, indeed it is. Tom Cruise is ready for another lap around the days of thunder track. This one trailer.
There's something very growing about the
Late racetrack driver character Cole Trickle is ready to burn rubber again. BT's lover TC is set to star and produce a follow-up to his 1990 hit. The script is written the producer Jared Bruckheimer and is pushing ahead of their others. Another Top Gun movie.
we're expecting a script for it.
Okay, we've in the works. Events like 7-year-olds at the film grounds. Of course, Nate the Butler is where the star met, then married Nicole Kidman.
She was so extremely talented.
The late Robert Duvall, Brian Queen, Gary Elvis, rounded out. Did a lot of your own soundtrack.
Yeah, Tom put a car actually on his first day driving. You know, these things are not cheap. His last words before crashing.
No other cast has been announced, but ideas are flooding social media, including an F1 crossover between these two racing characters. One fan writing, quote, this better lead into a Brad Pitt race against Tom Cruise. That would also be when we look forward to interview with the vampire co-stars who would actually face off on a speedway.
And if I can ready to go that track, Brad, I go like, no, just go on the track, so that's fine.
And remember last summer when Tom survived Brad and his F1 career? Well, consider us wrapped up for a Sun Games Cold Trickle face-off.
We're all friends and injury. I think they're going to get thunder. I'm trying to figure out a way to get back to those every year and different.
I mean, can you imagine it? Sun Games and Cold Trickle on the track together?
It's just got it.
Talking about was a hot light headline. It starts with one wild rock and roll confession. Tommy Lee.
My very stronger. On school with the job, did the job, hold a couple syringes, and we're shooting Jack Daniels. I was like, it was at that moment. Like, okay, this is wrong, and somebody's gonna die.
The Motley Crue drummer on the Armchair Expert podcast says the band went to rehab together in 1989. But when Tommy invited E.T. inside his home before he studio, he was candid, telling us he struggled with his sobriety for decades.
That's some stuff. For 4 years, when I go, all the party just again, okay, time to pump the brakes, like, it was too much for everything. It's anything about it.
But back in the day, Tommy had a very wild side hustle.
So, we're good at it. This lady goes to look. This was at a time where we were all living together. And you literally, our manager would give us $20 over the week to live on.
How many days you think you have?
Probably 9 or 10.
I asked about exactly. Use stuff inflation. Locally on the Friends Keep Secrets podcast with this very relatable confession that also has the internet saying, what? I don't know, so it's what's really good or bad? I don't know. Well, I can't really. I don't know. You never get that. What's good? I'll dropping some hot confessions. Winfrey on the Baby the Sleepy Palmer podcast. I found out that your name it was originally Dobby. It was like nobody was spelled. So it turned out on my birth certificate it was more and then people started calling me Oprah. I didn't learn until I was probably 20 or something like that. Oh, this isn't really my name. Oprah also got very real with Van Fair reliving this viral moment. Were you silent? Or were you silenced? Okay, very nice. I think I've done it since. I don't know what the hell do you want. Okay. To be clear, because was she silenced? Were people telling her to talk? So it was all for clarification. Let's start now. Jim came over to me. But you was you who went back to that. So it's two months on great tales going to people. Of course, I asked him to the exploitation of guest hosts with Kidney adding, I think it feels premature. The things that I knew about it is the brother when I get to know him all the more environment. Meanwhile, on the field, it's about this still blushing after Joe Behar planted a huge kiss on his lips in this now viral moment. Choice man, I should give a picture as now energy. Yes, and yeah, it is. The Star Trek Strange New World style now jokes he had to do a little damage control with his part for 8 years. Darren Trek. I asked my life to cross some English from I guess the university. Still ahead. Yes, there's John Bell gives his big girls happily burn when they get up and race cross rails. Jennifer mostly again. Good job. We did it in 72 hours. I hope it sounds best. Yes, which one you do, what you supplicate forward and on. Supplicate with counseling and psychosocial support, truth of honor to severe opioid addiction and adults starting on those who need the morphine or only long morphine. Supplicate with desperate.
Not walking on my grass. Pink shirt. Yep, take the sidewalk. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very rude to walk on people's grass. No, not walking on my grass. Pink shirt. Yep, take the sidewalk. Thank you very much. Thank you. It's very rude to walk on people's grass. No,
This is
my grass.
Trust and there's please here with the body price for anyone with the capabilities that they don't like throws their way. That's the CCR with your matters most. CCR is the from celebrating Independence Day with a body pricing for everyone on all shares here 1,500 months. With 0% APR, that's over 13,000 total value on this year 1,500 denied.
We've never faced lives of others months. Their roles, they go strong and fight for you with the same dedication and care and strength they give up the family. We're a family law firm fighting for New Orleans families.
And implementation is best in multiple specialties. The opposite of prolonged growth is medicine. And check out this. Yes. Just so hard, so the insurance and now get a recall. So then decided to call it on. Ryan was my attorney, he was wonderful. I will never send my things in the water program. We've gone.
We're gonna usually, very sweetly, somehow. What they call it, they'll also do my thing. And so we had scheduled early for that reason, and she gave me the information. So, ran a bunch of red lights, got to the hospital, she lay next to me. She was like 5 pounds 4, so these was born, and she's like 10 pounds. Yesterday before I flew in, she was smart that you could there's something so there's nothing.
Around 2 years ago, the now father-free white migrants are in Hollywood for a lakeside cabin in Minnesota surrounded by 50 acres of forest. But the 53-year-old took a break from his off-the-grid home life to hype up season 2 of his Netflix hit Friends and Family with post-grad Mika Kelly. All 8 episodes of season 2 are streaming now. I'm really good for production and there's a long time ago since this. It's very easy to romanticize the days, but then she goes home because she's not such a jerk. So it was like I know they had to get in the first season. Was he on board at all for season 2? But of course it helps so much that there was so celebrated. And his daughter was a part of the Arrow as a song in season 2.
She's
So talented and so exciting to get to incorporate his family.
yeah, go out of down, said.
And will combat spars with the Gen Z co-stars. They had this good stuff. They had very good. Only 10 the day match brought great. But speaking of his bachelor party crash in comedy is based on a true story. That's the presidential gap where it was once when things go sexual.
And the rest of all the shots. So muscle. The lines of John. And those originality.
Thank you. Focus. Okay. Just do it. Wow. What? Well, you don't pay attention to me, not him, for just a second. He's gonna do something fun, and I'm gonna make it so fast so I can go sit down.
Well, good.
Thank you. Focus. Okay. Just do it. Wow. What? Well, attention to me, not him, for just a second. He's gonna do something fun, and I'm gonna make it so fast so I can go.
You asked me about your medicines to the bottom.
with no favorites.
Good evening. Do any of you believe what's on the screen now? If you know that God is Almighty and you believe what's on the screen now, please put it in the comment section. Let me know. We're trying to find other people that have that same knowledge.
I feel, you know,
Is he the only head of this group on statistically? Yes. Yes. Well, he. See, he always like saying about me, but they really, this is his stuff. You take no way, that's so good. Pursue who is that? All favorite. Look, it's very good. All the rails would be looked at hard and it's getting single stars on the opposite. Situations feels like there's nobody goes 72 hours if getting there for tomorrow. Where can the place guy who accidentally gets added to a bachelor party group chat and then the result. What follows SNL's Marcelo Hernandez, Leon Patterson, and Sweet Space Billy. Roast him good. I must really like these. That's the yes, because ever since the first set I've been on, his comments to me. Have you seen it? Yeah. That sense it was different on the set. Because then it's the opposite. It's been sounding. Just that way,
Test one, two. 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 Good evening, and welcome to this week's edition of The Message. I'm your host, Donatus King. We'll spend this next few minutes with one purpose in mind. That one purpose is delivering the message that God is Almighty. Everything that ever was, is now, or ever will be is a piece of God. Everything that ever was, is now, ever will be was made by God. Everything that ever happened is happening right now, ever will happen, was made to happen by God. God is a master plan for all time and all creation. God is Almighty. The message is brought to you by, is produced by the Society of Knowledge. The Society is an interdenominational ministry. Our members come from various different religious and spiritual backgrounds. We have various different religious and spiritual beliefs. Although we come from different backgrounds and have different beliefs, there is one belief that we share. There's one piece of knowledge that we hold in common. And that's the knowledge that there is a being. By no matter what name we may have been taught to call that being, by no matter what name we may have come to know that being, we know that there is a being. By no matter what name we call it, whether we say God, Yahweh, Jesus, Jehovah, Buddha, Allah, by no matter what name, the universe, by no matter what name, we know that there's a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. Now, that's the reason we do the show, and the only reason we do the show. And that's to deliver the message that that being, that person that I call God, that being is indeed Almighty. Sister Connie, thank you as always. Thank you for joining us online, Sister Connie. I hope that the weather's not too bad out there in San Antonio. And all of you that are joining us online from different parts of the country or different parts of the world, welcome. And I ask you to follow us on TikTok. If you're not already following us on TikTok, to please follow us on TikTok. And also, if you're experiencing any difficulties, technical difficulties while watching the show this evening, please let me know so I can try to correct those. If any audio problems, any other problems, let me know so I can try to correct them. All right, let's move on. All right. Let's see. We have Sherrod. Sherrod, thank you for joining us on TikTok. Again, all you followers that are on TikTok, thank you. All you viewers that are on TikTok, please follow if you haven't already followed us. All right, let's move. Let's see if we can get some announcements and get those out this evening. All right, today is July 23rd, 2026. I remind that fact because tonight, as we are on most Thursdays, we are live. And I remind that fact because this show is an open discussion, it's a two-way conversation. If you have something that's going on in your church, your mosque, your masjid, your place of worship, and you want to let the world know about it, put the information in the comment section, and I'll do my best to read it out over the air. If there's something that's going on in a nonprofit organization, I invite you and encourage you to do the same thing. Put in the comment section. I'll do my best to read it out over the air. Again, welcome. And what you see on the screen, that is our acknowledgement here at the Society. As I said, we come from various different religious backgrounds, different beliefs, but there's one thing that we do believe in common, and that is the bottom line, that God is Almighty. And it doesn't matter, some of us believe that name to be God, some believe to be Allah, some believe to be the universe, all different names. It doesn't matter. If you believe that there's a being, a power that is almighty, there's not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. If you believe that, then you can believe you can be rather a member of the society. And I'm asking if you do indeed believe that, if you know that God is Almighty, if you know that there's an Almighty being, let me know. Matter of fact, you can do that now. Just put that in the comments section and let me know. Thank you. Thank you to my wife who joined us. Georgia King, 236. Let us know. Wife, put it in the comment section. Let me know. Make sure that the audio, the volume, and everything else is okay. As I was saying, what I'm trying to do is we're trying to, what me and the rest of the members of the society and knowledge are doing, is we've been delivering this message that there's an Almighty being, delivering it for over 40 years. And we trying to identify others, make contact with others that share that same knowledge, that know that there is an Almighty being. It's good to know people that share. Thank you, wife, for the feedback. It's good to know people that have the same knowledge, that share that belief that there's an Almighty being. That's good to know. So if you have that same knowledge, you have that same understanding, if you do indeed worship a God that is Almighty, then let us know. Put in the comment section, or you can contact us through our website. And that website, and type it in www. Let me see if I can type that in. www. God is Almighty.org. Yeah, that's our main website. So if you go www.godsalmighty.org, and you can leave us a comment there. You can leave us a comment now while we are live online, and just let us know. Just say, Brother King, yeah, I know God is Almighty. All right. Let's move on. Our discussion topic tonight is Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. Some of you are familiar with Dr. Diop. Some of you are not. We're going to go over a little of his biography in just a minute. But a few announcements before we do that. That's a picture of Dr. Diop. What you see on the screen, as I said earlier, that's our main website, www.godsalmighty.org. I invite you to lock that into your web browser 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can visit that website. There are links to all of our social media platforms. I'm so glad now. I'm so excited that we have a program that we're using. It's a computer program that we're using, an app called Restream. And Restream, it automatically prepares reels and posts from our broadcast and cuts it down into 2-minute pieces, 1 minute, 3-minute pieces that we are able to stream later on TikTok and Instagram, all those different social media platforms. And I'm so excited that those rebroadcasts, those streams, those reels are gaining a lot of attention now, a lot of viewers. So we're getting the message out live, but then those streams, those reels are continuing to get the message out. And I encourage you on those different social media platforms, when you see one of those restreams, one of those reels, take and share it. Okay, help us get that information out, that message that God is Almighty. All right, the Society of Knowledge, we have centers that are located throughout, primarily in the Southeast United States. We have a center located in New Orleans, Louisiana. That's where we are broadcasting out of this evening. And as you see on the screen now, we broadcast This we broadcast this study session every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. But we also broadcast our fellowship at 10 a.m. every Sunday. That's 10 a.m. Central Time. And if you're in the New Orleans area, come and join us at 1861 Abundant Street here in the city of New Orleans. Okay, we have a center in Lafayette, Louisiana, that's presided over by Messenger Ryan King. We have another center located in North Carolina, that's presided over by Messenger Tainav L. And we also have a center in Opelousas, Louisiana, presided over by Messenger Corey Levier. Previously recorded episodes of the message can be watched on YouTube at DNK Messenger. As we get into our discussion tonight, we remind ourselves what the Bible says about knowledge. It says, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free, and prove all things, hold fast that which is good." Okay, our discussion topic tonight is Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. Okay, we don't have any screens that we're going to put up tonight in the slides, but we will continue with this discussion for the next couple of weeks. And there are a couple of publications by Dr. Diop. We'll talk a little bit about this evening. The first is The Civilization or Barbarism in Authentic Anthropology. Okay, let's see if I can put this up. All right. Yeah, it's got a little glare, but I think you can probably make that out. All right. And then the other is The African Origin of Civilization, Myth or Reality. Okay, the African, let's see if I can get the hair. Okay, there, we got some that glare off. All right. All right. I'm going to read for those of you that are not familiar with Dr. Diop. Let me just read a little bit. And this is the foreword. This is a little bit of the foreword to the book Civilization or Barbarism by Dr. Diop. And this foreword is written by another legend, another giant in the academic world. That's Dr. John Henry Clark, Professor Emeritus, Department of Africana and Puerto Rican Studies, Hunter College, New York City. Okay, so this is the foreword. Let me read just a little bit out of the foreword. Sheikh Anta Diop is considered to be one of the greatest scholars to emerge in the African world in the 20th century. Last week, we studied a little last week. Actually, the past 3 weeks, we had studied from another Afrocentric scholar. And this week we're continuing along those same lines, studying these works by Dr. Diop. And it's good for us to get a balance. If you're a serious scholar, and I always advocate for this, and that is verifying your facts and broadening your knowledge base. It's easy for us to fall into, I call it a mental trap by limiting our research and limiting our study to information from a particular region or nationality, whether it be Western scholars uh, or Far Eastern scholars. And a lot of the information that we have relating to history and prehistory is information in books, resources that are prepared by European scholars. And I just remind you all that the deeper you get into history, the more you find out that there were historians that preceded the Greek historians, such as Herodotus, that came before them and also recorded history and prehistory. So it's good for us to realize and recognize that there are intelligent people, that there are scholars that don't come from the United States, don't come from Europe, don't come from Western countries, but are just as intelligent and just as scholarly and accurate as those scholars that are normally discussed from the Western world. So I'm just going to read a little bit about the biography of Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. Sheikh Anta Diop is considered to be one of the greatest scholars to emerge in the African world in the 20th century. He was born in Durban, Senegal, a town on the west coast of Africa, in 1923. So is actually an African nationalist. His birthplace, a Senegalese nationalist rather. His birthplace has a long tradition of producing Muslim scholars and oral historians. This is where his inspiration and interest in history, the humanities, and the social sciences from an African point of view began. The years of his life, 1923 to 1986, so he was a relatively young man when he transitioned, 63 years old. And the creation of his work were years of transition and change for the whole of the African world. In the United States, the Pan-African Congresses, under the leadership of W.E.B. Du Bois, were well underway. African Americans were still debating Booker T. Washington's theory of education favorably, while dismissing his theory of participation. The first of the trials of Marcus Garvey in relationship to the Black Star Line had already started, and the largest Africa-oriented movement ever to be built was well underway in spite of the trials and tribulations of Garvey. So this is just giving a little bit about what was going on during that era. In the Caribbean, the intellectuals on the larger islands, especially Jamaica, Trinidad, and Barbados, were fighting for a constitutional government. From the French-speaking islands, Guadeloupe and Martinique, and from what was then called French Guiana, representatives were being sent to the French Parliament, who spoke clearer and more precise French than most Frenchmen. In Africa, most of the warrior nationalists of the 19th century had either been driven into exile, imprisoned, or removed from power. Missionary-trained Africans were capturing the attention of the colonial administrations. While the physical fight against colonialism had abated, the intellectual fight continued. From this period until the eve of the African independence explosion in the late 1950s, African political literature appeared mainly in South Africa and in West Africa, in Ghana, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. Now, this the message, this program. Good morning, Messenger T9L. Messenger, I encourage you to join us, Messenger, because I know that you have a very strong feeling regarding Pan-Africanism. I invite you to join us on through Zoom. You'll be able to, to share with us some of the knowledge and information that you have regarding Dr. Jop in his writings and his teachings. Okay? As I was beginning to say before I saw that messenger Tenab in Messenger Tenab, the presiding messenger over the North Carolina Center of the Society of Knowledge. As I was speaking earlier, he's very, very knowledgeable. Actually, Messenger Tenab owned a bookstore, and he still is a bookseller. So I don't think he has a brick and mortar establishment anymore. As far as a brick and mortar bookstore, he still does sell books. And when we were out at the North Carolina revival in May, Messenger Tenab had a display set up with some of the publications that he was selling. So if you are looking for a particular publication, you can't find it, if you get in touch with Messenger Tenab, he may be able to help you to get that publication, to obtain that publication. But I'm going to read, before I continue reading any more about the biography of Dr. Jop. Some of you might ask, well, look, Brother King, you're talking about, Dr. Jop and Dr. Clark. You're talking about those folks and, the Pan-Africanism and the rest of that. We tuned in here to find out and talk about religious and spiritual ideas. So, Brother King, that Pan-Africanism and the rest of that doesn't have anything to do with spirituality or religion. Okay, well, let me tie all the little strings together. Okay, give you some understanding. The understanding that I have. When I spoke earlier about serious scholars and serious researchers, and how when you are serious, you do your research from diverse fields, diverse sources. Well, the same thing goes when you're studying religion and spirituality. The same thing goes for that. And so often, most of us, the only knowledge that we have about religion is knowledge that we've received from some institution or person that's associated with the major Western religions. And when I say the major Western religions, I'm talking about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Okay? Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Most of the people in the United States of America, the majority of the information that they have relating to religion or spirituality comes from a source, whether it's a book or a religious leader, whatever the source is, it's a source connected to Islam, Christianity, or Judaism. And we really don't have an idea that there are other sources of information about religion and spirituality that are not connected with Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. There are sources that are just as intelligent, just as reliable as the usual Western sources. There are people, individuals that are just as intelligent as any doctor or scholar that's in a United States, an American university, or in a European university. And one of those individuals is Dr. Jacques. And the connection between Dr. Jacques and religion and spirituality is when you read his publications, you see that he investigates, he fact checks, he researches not only political movements, not only certain aspects of anthropology, but also religion. And as Dr. Jacques reports on what he has learned as far as the historical and prehistorical religions, and that information being contained in his publication. So we can read the Bible. We can read the Bible and find out about things that happened 3,000, 4,000 years ago. But realize in the Bible, particularly when it talks about something that happened 3,000 or 4,000 years ago, that's going to be contained in the Old Testament, and that's the Jewish Bible. And what's recorded in the Jewish Bible is going to be from the Jewish standpoint, right? And when you read in the Jewish Bible, and it speaks about things that happened, and it speaks about things like Abraham traveling to Egypt. That lets you know right then and there that there are some folks that were living in Egypt, and Egypt is on the African continent. Egypt is a part of Africa. So not only is that history recorded in the Jewish Bible, but Africans were recording history also. So a lot of those works, those history books, that were written by the Africans thousands of years ago, a lot of them were destroyed and destroyed on purpose. But some of that knowledge was passed on. And a lot of that knowledge will be found in things such as the Egyptian Book of the Dead. It will be found in other carvings on the sides of pyramids and different stones. And a lot of that information, that knowledge, that information that Western scholars either distort or just ignore. A lot of that Dr. Jacques exposes. A lot of that he reports on, that he shares with us. So we're going to get, I'm going to read just a couple of more paragraphs out of the biography of Dr. Jacques. And then we're going to call the night for the night. But in the upcoming couple of weeks, we're going to dig deeper into these publications by Dr. Jacques. And let's see. Yeah, we're going to dig a little deeper into them. But what I'm looking for right now, you see me thumbing through this? There are a number of illustrations in this book, a number of drawings. As you can see, some of the drawings in this book, drawings that you may not have ever seen before, drawings that were the size of caves, statues rather. It is again. Here is a photo of, I'm going to read what it says here: Negroid fossils of the Museum of Prehistoric Anthropology in Monaco. These are Aurignacian Negroids of Grimaldi, a child and old woman. Look at that. Show you that. And I'm gonna see what I can do next week as far as making some slides of some of these. All right. So it'll be easier for you to see. All right. And let me just read just a couple more paragraphs, and that's gonna do it for us today. Okay, look at Dr. Jock talks about the paleontological approach. And let's see. All right. I left off reading. While the physical fight against colonialism had abated, the intellectual fight continued. From this period until the eve of the African independence explosion in the late 1950s, African political literature appeared mainly in South Africa and in West Africa, in Ghana, Nigeria, and Sierra Leone. All right, let me skip over a little bit here. Using the disciplines on linguistics, cultural and physical anthropology, history, chemistry, and physics that his research required, he forged new theoretical pathways and revealed new evidence in the quest to uncover the ancient origins and unifying principles of classical African civilization. He was not only an innovative theoretician, but he was also a pragmatist. He published works that offered programmatic suggestions for the political and economic unification of Africa. All right. Civilization or barbarism, that's this book right here, Civilization or Barbarism, is Sheikh Anta Diop's magnum opus and the last of his great contributions to the clarification of African world history. In many ways, this book is a summation and an extension of his previous research. It is a refinement of his analysis and a final statement reflecting the completion of his mission. All right. Let's see if I can just find just a little I mentioned earlier about Herodotus, the Greek historian Herodotus. And Herodotus is discussed here in this publication. But let's see. Let's see. I'm just reading something here out of the chapter 1, prehistory, race and history, origin of humanity and racial differentiation. So now this is actually right. It's not the introduction or forward. This is the actual writings of Dr. Diop. The research conducted in humanistic paleontology, particularly by the late Dr. Louis Leakey, has helped to place the birthplace of humanity in East Africa's Great Lakes region around the Omo Valley. Two ramifications that have not been sufficiently emphasized until now have come to light as a result of this research. Number one, humankind born around the Great Lakes region, almost on the equator, is necessarily pigmented in black. The Glosser law calls for warm-blooded animals to be pigmented in a hot and humid climate. Number two, all the other races derived from the black race by a more or less direct affiliation, and the other continents were populated from Africa at the Homo erectus and Homo sapiens stages 150,000 years ago. The old theories that used to state that blacks came from somewhere else are now invalid. The first black who went out to populate the rest of the world exited Africa through the Strait of Gibraltar, the Isthmus of Suez, and maybe through Sicily and southern Italy. The existence of a cave and parietal African art of the upper Paleolithic period has confirmed this point of view. One of the other things that I always stress when you're researching, one of the things that I always stress is to go in the back of the book, any book that you're reading, go in the back of it and look for a section that should be there called bibliography. And that will tell you where the author got his information. Okay? Where he got his information. I'm just reading through here. There's a lot of French names and things such as that. There's another one here, Archimedes, okay? Aristotle. I'm just saying some names that I know that you might know also. A lot of this, we want to hear some European names to give it any kind of credence. And as I say, okay, there's Dr. Clark, Confucius. Let's see if I can get a couple more that you might, Diogenes, Diodorus of Sicily, Diophantus, Einstein. Yeah, these are just some of them. Okay, Raymond Faulkner. This, you might recognize some of these names. Okay. And as you see, a lot of the names, okay, with the papyrus of Upper Egypt, Plato, Pliny the Elder, Pliny the Younger, Plutarch, Strabo, Stravinsky. All right. That's the level of scholarship that we're talking about when we talk about Dr. Sheikh Anta. Okay, we're gonna wrap things up for this evening. That's just an introduction. Next week, we're going to really dig a little bit deeper into the content of these publications. And as always, I invite you, I encourage you to, if you don't have a copy of these books, go online. You can find them on Amazon. Contact Messenger Tina Alvell out of North Carolina. If you're in the New Orleans area, go by the Community Book Center on Bayou Road here. Talk to Mama Vera, and she'll be able to, in her bookstore, she'll be able to help you out. But again, everything that we're doing, talking about Dr. Shop and Dr. Clark, everything that we're doing, one purpose, and that one purpose is to deliver the message that there's a being that possesses not some of the power, not most of the power, but all of the power. That being that I call God is indeed Almighty. Thank you for joining us this evening, spending this little time with us. I thank God for blessing me to have you to share this time with. And I pray it is God's will that you will spread this information, share this information, spread the knowledge, share the knowledge, spread the message, share the message that God is Almighty. Until we meet again here next Thursday on the message, and hopefully we will meet this coming Sunday in fellowship. Until we meet again, it's my prayer that God Almighty blesses you and yours with peace.